Mark your calendars. Thursday, June 5th is the release date for my next comedy special. I am so excited to hit the applause button, Caitlin. We get some fake applause in there. I'm very excited. Caitlin, I didn't even tell you that. Our lives are so insane. Caitlin is hearing it just along with you. Thursday, June 5th is the release date. I am thrilled with how this one turned out. I'm thrilled that I did it in one take. This is a one-take comedy special. Normally, when you see a comedy special, the performers do at least two shows, and then they pick and choose the best moments from those two shows. They do the same material, wearing the same outfit, same stage, and then they pick and choose the best material so that it's perfect. And that's fine. But I believe in this day and age of, we're surrounded by so much AI generated content that is like too perfect. It's eerily perfect. And I wanted this comedy special to have just the little minor, imperceptible moments of little imperfections that make it feel like you are actually there. That, and I could not sell out two shows. That's way to spin, right? I could only sell out one show at Comedy Works. They got a lot of seats in that building. And so, yeah, but I will say God brings good out of everything, because I actually, it's funny, I was planning to spin it that way. But then once I saw the finished product, I was like, oh, wait, my own BS is like actually true in this case. And since this is a clean podcast, BS stands for believability suspect. That's what that stands for on this podcast. I was like, oh, it's actually true. I actually mean this. I planned to say it anyway, but this is actually true. So it's such a fun show. The stories I'm telling are stories that I wanted to wait until just kind of the right time to share them. For those of you who have been with me for many years, my mother-in-law, Yaya, just a human hurricane, a force of nature, country woman, grew up in East Texas without running water in her house. I mean, real country woman. And you can imagine her and I being a village together, partnering on raising kids, led to some real amazing moments that I'm sharing in this set. It's just, and the set is getting such a good response, not just with you guys, but when I do bits of it at shows in Austin. I did some bits of it at, I got a few minutes on a show in Denver with just the Denver hipsters. Everyone had blue and pink hair and all that, and even they loved it. So I'm just really genuinely excited about it. I think it'll be some great entertainment for you, and it will come out June 5th. That is a Thursday, and we will do a live chat at that time where we can talk back and forth as it airs on YouTube. And I'm so excited about that. It will be on my YouTube channel. So of course, make sure you are subscribed. Just search for my name on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. And of course, we also put this podcast out on YouTube. Here's what I have to say to you in this episode. You are younger than you think you are. You have more youthful energy than you have been capturing, and you need to shift your mindset to capture it. In particular, I don't know who needs to hear this. Probably most of you. Listen, women, you're not in perimenopause, okay? You're not. I have 37-year-olds telling me that they have like perimenopause symptoms. I hope you are getting all your medical advice from this channel, by the way. I hope that I'm your only medical counsel, like a stand-up comic with no medical background. You don't have aches and pains from aging. You don't. And you're like, Jen, but you don't. You don't. I'm telling you, you don't. And I even think, some of you, you'll go in and have hormone levels checked, and maybe you have low estrogen, low testosterone, whatever. And of course, in all seriousness, have that stuff checked out. If you think something's wrong, of course, have it checked out. But what I have found in my friends' experience, even after they treat whatever they thought was causing their symptoms, some level is off and they get it treated, the symptoms still come back. It's not a one and done thing. And then they're back to, I'm getting older. I'm getting older. When you turn 34, this is just how life is. You've got the aches and pains. You guys, my mother is 80 and she doesn't talk like that. And I don't think she is just a genetic anomaly. She is, but I have noticed a direct correlation, a 1-to-1 correlation between how people think about life and how they age. Not just their physical appearance, although this is impacted too, but the aches and pains they experience. I really think that after listening to this episode and putting some of my ideas into practice, I believe that you will feel at least 10 years younger. And I'm serious. How is this podcast free button? Maybe, you know what? You will have more energy to devote your time and resources into figuring out how this podcast is free after you listen to this episode. Because I will tell you this, I have just observed so many people as I have gone on in life now in my late 40s. This has given me enough time to see a lot of people's lives play out. I've been friends with people since they were in their 20s and now they're in their 40s and all that, or now they're in their 50s or their 60s or whatever. I'm telling you that the way you approach life, the way you approach stress, and in particular, and this is the big one, how honest you are about who you really are and what you really want. That is the big factor in aging well. I really, that and retinol, that and a little bit of Botox and then some retinol. But that is the correlation that I see, that people who end up, they're talking about their aches and pain. I'm 36 and now, my ankle, when I get up in the morning, you're not old and that's not aging. You have funds, fired up nervous system, a serious medical term that I made up. If you want to Google it and see Reddit forums about it, TMS is the more accepted term, tension myositis symptom or myoneural symptom, TMS. Dr. Sarno popularized this. Nicole Sachs, who has a new book out that is required reading. You have to read this book, Mind Your Body. You have to read it. Your ankle isn't hurting because you're in your late 30s or your 40s or even your 60s or whatever. That's not why your ankle is hurting. Your ankle is hurting because you have unprocessed stress, because you haven't been honest about what you really feel about things. That's why you're having these aches and pains. And I'm telling you, listen, I've done this experiment on myself, not just observing other people. I was having a lot of just negative physical symptoms that people would usually associate with aging right before I started Journal Speak about 6 months ago. They're all gone. I've been doing Journal Speak, which is what Nicole Sachs in the book Mind Your Body, that she's the one who lays out the Journal Speak concept. I've been doing that practice faithfully. Those symptoms are all gone. They're all gone. I do not have the aches and pains and the whatever, the women, the hormonal, but it's gone since I started doing Journal Speak. So you will feel 10 years younger at the end of this podcast, and it will again open you up to contemplate how this podcast could possibly be free. It's something that we're really exploring. We're on a never-ending journey of discovery there. And I have shows Columbus, Ohio tonight, New York City on Saturday. Get your tickets at jfcomedytour.com. This is the Jen Fulwiler Show coming to you from Austin, Texas. This is the podcast where you learn the art of the village hustle. That's being a hot girl boss or hot boy boss who knows that love and family and community are the foundation foundations of all true success. This podcast is available on all the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen to your audio podcasts. It is also available on YouTube, and you need to subscribe to my channel because that is where I will be releasing my next comedy special, as well as a bunch of fun stand-up comedy clips, and of course the Patreon. We put a lot of time and effort into this. I do bonus content on Patreon. It's a lot of fun. We've got a couple different levels. The base level is you get the after party where I keep chatting on the main topic after the main episode, and then the higher level is the Village Hustle Patreon that I should charge $1,000 a month for it, for the wisdom you get about work-life balance, how to make career work, all that. And all of that is available at patreon.com/thisisjen. Okay, we have so much to talk about today. One of them is obviously the papal conclave starts today as this episode is being released. So some of you hearing this, we might have a new pope by the time you hear this. I'll get to that in a minute. But I just wanted to say I graduated from face therapy. Very, very exciting. Yes, you can see on YouTube. You can always find these episodes. Just search for my name and the episode number. Search YouTube for Fulwiler 253. And you can see my face looks pretty normal. When I smile, you can still see my right side here. It is not perfect, but we are getting close. And my face therapist just gave me some exercises that I can keep doing, and it should be fully resolved soon. And it has been a lesson once again in, when something bad and annoying happens, even if it was kind of your fault, look for the ways that God is bringing new opportunities to love into your life from it. And by love, I don't necessarily mean romantic love, but just like, I really like this doctor. She is great. Dr. Chara, Chara Booker in Austin. She does all sorts of physical therapy, but is a face physical therapist genius. I really enjoyed getting to know her. She and I ended up having a lot in common. We would chat at our appointments, and I have a feeling that we might end up keeping in touch. She was saying to be sure to let her know when the comedy special comes out. I have a couple jokes that reference my time with her, so I will. She'll definitely want to see that. Yes, I did talk about the face paralysis in the comedy special that comes out on June 5th. I hope that is already on your calendar. And but she really is such a cool person to know. I do think I'll probably keep in touch with her. And these things happen when you get a bad turn of events. If it's medical, you end up meeting new people at the doctor's office, in the doctor's waiting room. And it's not to say that you're glad it happened. I mean, frankly, I wish my face had not been paralyzed. Why don't I get to have nice things? Tons of people do cosmetic treatments and don't end up looking like Quasimodo from it. I'm not saying I'm happy it happened, but God will use these opportunities to bring more love into your life if you look out for it and if you let him. But you do have to look out for it. I mean, if I had gone to these appointments with an air of resentment and hostility and bitter anger at my turn of events, I don't think I would have been chatting with this doctor. It would have just been like, I have horrible luck. Woe is me. Just show me these stupid exercises. So you do have to have an air of openness to expansion and to love and trusting God and all that. And I didn't always do a good job of it, but it is something that I try to work on, and that I really recommend when tough things happen. Just look for the ways that God is bringing more love into your life from this bad turn of events. So exciting that I am done with face therapy. So, papal conclave. The first thing I want to say is I have been watching. So some of you guys know. Okay, so I quit my job at SiriusXM to do stand-up comedy, And the gal who has the time slot that used to be my show, so it was daily 2 hours national radio show. So the gal who has that time slot now is named Katie McGrady. She's doing great coverage of all this papal stuff. You should follow her on social media, Katie McGrady. It's so amazing to watch her to follow all this Pope stuff. She's now one of the main Vatican commenters on CNN. She's like their main go-to, like Catholic person. And I was on CNN a couple of times when I had that job. And it was fine. It was fine. I didn't get any of the fun stuff. I got some of the most horrific scandals. They'd be like, "Oh, come talk about this." I was like, "I don't want this job anymore. I really don't want to do this." But watching her shine in this role, you talk about blue flame. I mean, and she has 2 young children. She's really one to watch. That Katie has 2 young children, so she's a mom and like super into mom life, a woman of faith. Obviously, that'd be kind of funny if she wasn't, but commentating on Catholic stuff on CNN. And I just watch her and I am laughing so hard at how good she is at this and how bad I would have been at this. I mean, if here's the thing. Sometimes we're afraid to let go of things in life. I knew that God was calling me away from talk radio. And sometimes you could be afraid. You could be like, well, a pandemic is starting. It's March 2020. Maybe this isn't when I should quit a stable job that provides health benefits for my whole family to do stand-up comedy. But then you have to do it. you just have to do it because I know a lot of people, especially when you have an opportunity that is cool. It's cool. It was the Jen Fulwiler show, national Sirius XM platform. It sounded very cool. But it was shockingly not hard to let go of. It was really not, because I had just learned to trust that when God tells you it's time to move on to the next thing, it just is. And God, man, did he just close that door completely in my mind. Like Alino Rulli, who's the drive time host of that channel, he asked me the other day when I was on his show if I missed it. And it's weird because I'm speaking on the channel that he is still on. So it felt weird to be like, not at all. But it's nothing against the channel. God just shut that door for me. And it's beautiful things happen when you don't cling to things out of scarcity mentality. Because there is a temptation to think that God, like he gave you some blessings, but that now the blessings valve is off. There's like a blessings on, blessings off, and no more blessings are coming your way. So you've got to just really cling to this thing that you kind of know is not right for you anymore, but other people would probably want it. It seems cool. So you cling and you cling and you cling. And that just leads to a real stagnation in your life. When you cling to things, whether it's a romantic relationship or it's a job or whatever, a club that you're a part of. I mean, just, it can be scary to let go for a lot of reasons. What will people think? Will people be upset? Blah, blah, blah. But when you just trust, do your discernment. And I did my discernment. I talked to my husband. I talked to friends. I prayed about it, whatever. This wasn't a totally spontaneous decision. I thought and prayed about it for months. But once you've done that discernment and you don't have peace when you think of continuing in this role, beautiful things happen when you let it go. And here's the thing, beautiful things happen not just for you, but for other people. That's the whole thing. It's one of the reasons I'm always encouraging you guys to follow your blue flames is that it's not about you. And it's not even just about the way you bless other people and love other people with this craft or work that you do. And again, for new listeners, a blue flame is a term I borrowed from a friend of mine. It's some passion within you. It is your love language to the world. It is the way that you are supposed to love the world right here, right now. So I often use my grandfather as an example. So he was a very, very talented engineer. He built refineries, created a lot of jobs for a lot of people in Mexico and South America in his adult life. But then a massive medical crisis just took him out. Like he could no longer work anymore. He almost died. It was really bad. So he came home, he came back to the States, and for a while he was kind of lost that his blue flame, like that thing was, being an engineer, building refineries, and he was a great mentor to the guys who worked for him. He helped a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have had opportunities in life. He'd hire them and he'd train them, and that was his thing. And he's like, well, what am I going to do now? He was in his early 50s, like that, even in that era, that was kind of young to retire. And he discovered cooking, and I think he was 99 when he was still cooking meals for us. Once he got to be like 97, 98, he did have to sit down a little bit when he was making like the chicken cordon bleu. But that was, my first memories of my grandfather were probably when he was in his late 60s, early 70s. And so I never knew him as the engineer. I only knew him as this incredible chef who would bless our family with the most elaborate, amazing meals. He had cable, and he'd watch the Food Channel, and he'd order books on, how you do this French cooking. He was a master chef. He used his engineering skill set to actually build his own grills and smokers and cookers. We still have one of his smokers that he would do ribs in, again, using his engineering skills, translating that into his new blue flame. So all this is to say, a blue flame doesn't have to be something that makes money. It doesn't have to be a high profile thing, a career. It is your love language to the world. And it is something that when you do it, it does not drain your energy. It gives you energy. When I was writing my first book, Something Other Than God, in the midst of having 6 babies in 8 years, so many people said, why would you do this? Like, why would you have writing deadlines, and you're trying to finish a chapter, and you're trying to get this book deal? Like, give yourself a break. You have these babies. And I didn't have the lexicon to explain it at the time, but what I was thinking was, no. Writing this book is how I am keeping my sanity as a mother of young children. It gives me energy. When I would use the kids' nap time to write a chapter, even if I had writer's block, even if I hate what I wrote, even if it was a frustrating writing session, the overall experience of using this blue flame gave me energy. It felt like the opposite of work. It was like taking a performance enhancing drug, like using my blue flame. Okay, so anyway, that was for new. We have a few new listeners here, so I just wanted to explain the concept. So we talk a lot about how your blue flame is your love language to the world. It is a way that you love the world. So obviously that blesses people. Like if you're a painter and you do an incredible painting that hangs in someone's living room, okay, obviously you're blessing the person who owns the painting, the people who see it. But there are other ways you're blessing people that sometimes we forget about. For example, maybe the small mom and pop shop that you bought your paintbrushes from. Well, maybe they had been praying for more customers, and now you're one of their customers, so you're blessing them. There's all of this tangential blessing and expansion of love that happens when you use your blue flame. And I would say when you realize that one blue flame has I don't want to say been blown out, but like that's no longer the work you're supposed to do, and you move into a different one. Like my grandfather with, if he had clung to that engineering job and just insisted that he still be a refinery engineer, even though his health was not up for it, that it just would have been tension. It would have been bad. I mean, he could have even gotten himself or other people injured, because refineries are kind of tough places. If he really wasn't up for doing it, that just wouldn't have been a good situation if he had tried to force that blue flame when it's like, this is that chapter was over for him. And so, and again, when he moved into cooking, it was just such a beautiful, like, expansive thing that led to so many blessings for so many new people. So I would say that moving, being open to where God is leading you in the next thing, not only will you bless new people through this, through the new use of the new incarnation of your blue flame, but by leaving the old one, by letting go of opportunities that are no longer the right place for you, you open up opportunities for other people. So let's say, for example, you and your children have been trying to force an activity that is really not for them. You know, you were like, listen, I've got, my kid has to play the violin. I'm part of the Well-Trained Mind Facebook group, and we've got to be talking about, all we do is we read classic literature and we pray in Latin, and we play violin, and that's all we do. My kids don't know what a screen is. They get 2 seconds of screen time per year, and that's what we're about. And so you've been forcing your kids into their violin lessons, and at some point you realize this isn't the path. And it's not working for them. It's not working for us. This isn't good. By letting go of that, let's say you then sell the violin. Well, maybe there is a family out there who's been praying that they would have an opportunity to buy a secondhand violin at a discount because it's not new, and you are providing those people that opportunity. When you are willing to not take up space in rooms that God no longer wants you to be in, you make space for other people who are supposed to be in that room. And man, have I been thinking of that. Doesn't that feel like someone needs to hear that today? Someone needed to hear that. Man, I'm telling you. And by the way, you know, this is even true with relationships, of like cutting ties on relationships, because, you know, my kids are dating now, and, you know, like almost all of them are in the dating age range. And it's like, you know, when you cut bait on a relationship, it's just clear that this is not it long term. It's probably not going anywhere. Not only do you free yourself up to meet someone else, but you free them up to meet someone else. Maybe the love of their life is they're going to run into them next week. But if you're clinging to something that is no longer working, you could be withholding blessings from other people. So anyway, I've just been thinking about this as I watch Katie McGrady tear it up on CNN. I'm like, I am so glad I quit that job. I texted her the other day. I was like, I was just keeping the seat warm until she got there. That's all I ever did with that. I was there like 6 years or something. It was 6 years of keeping the seat warm until Katie could get there. Because they were asking her about really, you know, difficult, like hard stuff. You don't understand how hard it is to do this cable news commentary stuff, because you have to address a difficult issue, but you have to hit your time marks pretty precisely. There are no tangent alerts on CNN. You know, you've got to nail it and speak accurately. This is national news. Like, you say one thing wrong and people are showing up with pitchforks and torches, you know? I mean, it is very high pressure. And I was just thinking, like, I mean, if I were to have been, like, if I had clung to this job and they threw me on CNN, they'd be like, okay, here we have Jen Fulwiler. Jen, the Cardinal Pizzaballa is a top contender as a top papal candidate. You know, could you tell us from the Catholic perspective, what do you think about this candidate? I'd be like, oh, did you know that his full name in English, it means Peter John the Baptist Pizza Dancer? Like, isn't that hilarious? And they'd be like, Jen, we were looking for more commentary on what does this mean for the future of the church and the potential pontificate? I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I hadn't heard of him until yesterday. I mean, it's like, it is so great to see her doing her thing. And just, I mean, I watch it and it's like, she was born for this. I mean, you need to look this up. Look up Katie McGrady. She's been posting clips on Instagram. I'm like, she was born for this moment. The way she articulates these really difficult issues without going, too far left, too far right. She's right in the middle, a nice balanced take, hits it like, I'm like looking at the clock like, okay, she's got 30 seconds. There's no way she can tackle this one in 30 seconds. And then she does. It's amazing. And it's a great, like, me watching her is such a fun example. And she and I have texted about this quite a bit of, just follow your call, let go of things that you're meant to let go of, jump into things you're meant to jump into, and watch how God works it out. And again, we were talking about this, that like, I am so in my zone in the insane world of stand-up comedy. Like, I'll have my little stand-up comedy friends DMing me like, Jen, I'm on ayahuasca and I'm tripping really hard, but I think God just told me to become Catholic. Like, how would I do that? Like, I was born for that moment. Katie was born to do really intelligent, insightful analysis on CNN. I was born to respond to the stand-up comedian's DM who is on ayahuasca and wants to find God and has questions about Catholicism. It is really fun to see how our blue flames have kind of been connected and how God works it out when you follow your path and you just embrace what you need to embrace, let go of what you need to let go of. And then Katie's out there inspiring all these people. It is very, very, very cool to see. So again, by the time some of you hear this, we will probably have a pope. I will probably be in New York City when the new pope is announced. So that's fun. I'm going to try to figure out if are we going down to Times Square? What are we doing in New York? And I am getting in the duck and cover position for the commentary. I might have to mute everyone. Just everyone. My Instagram feed might be like empty for a little while because I'm opinioned out after the election, after the presidential election. I'm opinioned out. I'm hysteria'd out. I just can't hear people's opinions on big world issues anymore. And I would like to briefly defend tuning out the news and everyone's opinions about the news, especially when it is the election of a pope, which is like, listen, guys, God's in charge. So that, unlike the election of political leaders, we can chill a little more when it's, the one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. I would like to defend tuning out the news because I do think that in today's culture, there is an idea that everyone needs to be super socially aware and that there is a virtue in that. Like with a lot of these ideas, of course, there is a grain of truth to it. It is, as a responsible citizen, you want to vote and be part of the process and all that. But you know what? It just occurred to me. This perfectly connects with the main topic. Hit the seamless tapestry sound effect. This podcast, it's a seamless tapestry. Okay. So a lot of times we use our inner stress and hysteria about big outside world events to cover over the inner emotions that we don't want to feel. And the case in point that I would give for that is, like when people are having very strong political reactions about either one of the past two presidential elections. So to be balanced, whether you loved or hated this past election or the one before, that people were melting down on all sides. And when I suggested to a couple people, like, maybe take a break from the news, this does not seem to be good for your mental health. Maybe don't worry so much about it and just let it go. And they're like, but I have to, I'm a voting American citizen and I have to. If you feel that way, I would just encourage you to consider, how closely are you following your local elections? Like, do you know what's going on with your local city council? Like, which bonds are you voting for in the next election? And I know that my husband actually does. He could be like, well, I'm very upset about bond 365 or whatever. So, some people do. But what I see with a lot of people who are being hysterical on Instagram is their part-time job at this point. but they're not really aware of what is going on at the local level. And I would say that that is a sign that you're using politics as a sort of funds, fired up nervous system outlet to cover over some of your deeper internal fears. Because the reality is where you are most likely to have an impact is at the local level. So if you really have a calling to be, you know, part of the change that you want to see and all that, then probably you should get involved in local politics, because way fewer people vote in local elections. You might even be able to get yourself elected to city council or whatever. And if it's just kind of being hysterical about things happening on a big, grand world stage that you as an individual likely cannot be like super efficacious in making change, I would just suggest that I think you're trying to avoid something deeper within. I think there is a stress within you that you are using massive worldwide issues that are out of your control to get like very stressed out and wound up about. So I would just say, and maybe I'm not right about that. Maybe, you know, screaming on social media about politics and papal elections is healthy and I'm wrong. It could be. I'm not saying that I have all that figured out, but I would just be careful of the mindset that there is a virtue in checking the news every single day. A philosophy that has brought me peace is to say there are so many horrors in the world and there are so many things that need to be changed that you can't be effective if you stress out about them all. And the reality is, I mean, there are things going on in Mongolia that you don't even know about that are horrible, that if you did a little bit of deep diving, you'd be upset about that too. I mean, there are so many horrors in the world that we simply can't be anguished about every single one of them. And if you take more time away from the news cycle and from your friends' opinions on Facebook and on Instagram, I think you will have more peace and calm to connect with God, connect with your unique path in life, and just tell God, hey, I'm upset about all the horrors in the world. Tell me which one I am meant to be part of the change for, because you're just one person. You can't solve all the world's problems, but what is maybe one that you could be part of, that you could really focus in on and say, okay, this is my mission field. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to help, you know, refugees from a certain country or something like that. But if you just check the news every day and just get hysterical about whatever the headlines are feeding you, that you won't be able to be an effective warrior in any one particular area. And I'm reminding myself of this as the papal news is impending, because I have some friends that they're really Catholic. Like me, you know, they're some of my friends they're very Catholic, and I am very worried about how they are going to react if they do not like the new pope. It's going to be, I'm a little concerned. I'll get concerned if they start saying things like they're turning it over to Saint Andre Bessette. His feast day is January 6th. So if they start saying that, then I'll get concerned. they might January 6th it, guys. I mean, they're really Catholic. I mean, they have a lot of opinions. And it's funny too that they're like, they don't like Protestants, but they act kind of Protestant. They're like, I'm not Protestant. I just think that God is not doing a very good job with this church, and that, you know, I think that we need a church more aligned with my opinions. I mean, they're seriously going to like print out their latest like tweet and nail it to the door of a church and be like, I'm not Protestant at all. I'm just more Catholic than the Pope. I'm just more Catholic than like this institution. But I'm not Protestant like at all. I mean, I just because I know better, you know, than the one holy Catholic and apostolic church. So I don't know. Yeah, it'll, I think I've just got to get off social media for like a long time after the papal announcement. Because I mean, being in the Catholic ghetto and also in the stand-up comedy ghetto, I get it from all sides in terms of politics, like what people think about presidential policies and all that. It's like everyone in my feed is always melting down about something. And now that we're going to have a new pope, I mean, I need Valium, I think is what I don't know. So it should be interesting. I think I'm going to go down to Times Square in New York City. It should be fun. I'll have, let's see, 4 of my children will be with me in New York City and my son's girlfriend. So that'll actually be a lot of fun. I'm going to try to have all the kids gather together and we can watch the new pope together. But the Vatican does really need to kind of stay on a timetable for that, because I'm only in New York until Sunday. So that we need a new pope by Sunday if I'm going to get the New York City new pope experience. Okay, I said everything on that. Okay. I saw on TikTok, I saw this gal, she is at AOBS. I'm not sure what that stands for, but a great little account. And she did a very sweet post, and it's about aging and embracing the age that you are and all that. And we cannot play the audio because we will get dinged on YouTube, but you can see it. It's a pretty little post that she did. Just search YouTube for Fulwiler 253 and you can see it. And I will read you what she is saying. Okay. So Caitlin, play it. And pause it. Okay, so pause it. Okay, so this is a mirror selfie. And she says, I am 80, but I woke up today at 28. So that's already a cool concept. Like imagining, so obviously this girl is 28. And but she's imagining that she's actually the 80-year-old version of herself who got sent back in time. Isn't that that's cool. That's a cool, I like that. That's a great thought exercise. Okay, next. She says, my body didn't hurt when I got up from bed. It's funny, mine did at 28, but okay. I mean, honestly, my mom's 80 feels so much better than I did when I was 28. Okay, go ahead. What's that? Is that, oh yeah, that's okay.
Same one.
Next one. Let's see. What is that? Oh, I think this is the, is that the one, the mom one?
I guess. It says, I looked in the mirror and appreciated the way I once looked.
Oh yeah, sorry, I missed that. Yeah. Okay, I looked in the mirror and appreciated the way my face looks. Okay, this one hits hard.
Yeah.
Everybody get ready. All right, next one. Okay, yeah, this is what destroyed people on TikTok. She says, I got a notification from mom. That, yeah, destroyed everyone, rightfully so. And then she goes into, the last one is, I wore the things I was too scared to wear. So that's AOBS on TikTok. Really beautiful. And you have to imagine it with sentimental music because we don't have the rights to play that on YouTube. Now, listen, I think that is a great thought exercise. So whatever age you are, imagine yourself like you are actually 20 or 30 years older than you are, and you woke up today as this age. It's a great thought exercise for embracing the youth that you do have. And in a way, I mean, here's going to be my beef with it, is it comes from a little bit of perspective of like, it's all downhill from here. Enjoy it while it lasts. So I want to make a couple of comments on this because this is going around and you'll probably see a lot of other people are doing this now. So first of all, you might age like my mom and just have none of these problems. Pull up one of the pictures of my mom, Caitlin. Again, just search for Fulwiler 253. You can see this. Okay, on the left is my mom, and that is her younger sister, my wonderful, wonderful Aunt Lisa with her. My mom is the one on the left, and then pull up the other picture. Okay, this is all right. This is a quick selfie that one of my daughters took. There is no filter on it. It's just straight out of the camera. This is a picture of my mom like last month, and she turns 80 in August. Caitlin, does she look 80 to you?
Not even close.
Like not even.
No.
I mean, if I saw that picture, I'd say she's what, 60 65.
Maybe, yeah.
She does CrossFit workouts with the same trainer that I use. my mother, who's about to turn 80, she can do some of these CrossFit moves that I cannot do. I'll be at the trainer. I'm like, I can't. My mom, she's so kind. She helps with some of the kids' laundry, and she will have an overflowing laundry basket, and she walks it up the stairs. And the other day, I caught myself. I was like, well, I mean, do you want me to help with the laundry basket? She's like, no, Jenny, we don't have to play this game, because she know I probably can't. And my daughter, who is in college, she's about to turn 19, and so she has the funds personality type, like very susceptible to funds, like nervous system overload and that sort of thing. And we often joke, she's like, I just wish I had the vibrancy and health of my 80-year-old grandmother. Like literally my mom feels better a lot of days than my daughter, who is 18. Like it's insane. And so first of all, you don't know how you're going to age, but and again, there's a beautiful sentiment behind this post. And I do think that it's a lovely thought exercise to just embrace the things that come with the age you are now that are good. I don't know. Okay, let me. But this goes into the main topic, that one of the things that makes aging seem sad and feel sad and is sad as you get up there in years is if you are living the life that is based on a worldview that is not generative. Yes, I will explain what I mean by that. If you're like multitasking, you're like, ooh, that's a lot of words, and she kind of lost me there. Okay, if you are living a life that is consumption based, not creation based, you are headed down a path that you will be really bummed that you're not 28 anymore when you are later in life. And most people are encouraged in this society to live a consumption-based life. Another TikTok that I wish I lost it and I couldn't find it again, but you've probably seen them. It's like, I don't know, some girl was like, I can't have kids, at least not yet, because I need to go to the top of this mountain and swing on this swing in Bali and go to the Maldives and whatever. And I'm like, do you have a trust fund? Like, who can afford all this? Basically, it was like she needs to travel. And I know you've heard this. I mean, this is so deep in our culture. Like you don't want to be tied down. You need to travel. And look, travel is lovely. Travel is very nice. It's a nice little, it's a great bonus thing to do in life. It's really wonderful. And it's good to have those experiences. But at least the way most people travel, it is a very consumption kind of thing. It's like you are consuming experiences. You're consuming the food at this one restaurant. You're consuming this, you're consuming the, taking in this sunset from this mountaintop. And that is great. This life is a balance of creation and consumption. So it's good to spend some time in consumption mode. The problem is that our society tells us that that's the whole thing, is just you seeking pleasure and doing things that amuse you without doing anything generative. And by generative, I mean, creation, like generative as in expansion, expanding the number of people around you, whether that is by having children. First you expand the number of people around you by getting married. Well, that's one more person in your life. Then you expand the number of people around you by, then your children come along. Children are in your life, and then your siblings are getting married, or they're having children. Or let's say one of your siblings is they become a monk or a nun. Well, then that whole community of monks and nuns that they are a part of, now that's part of your extended family. It's actually a really beautiful thing. And the families I know where someone is a monk or a nun or a priest as part of a community, that now that's, well, actually, our family is a great example of this, that it was actually after we became Catholic that I found out that I am am related to the iconographer monk at Mount Angel Abbey in Oregon. And so we got in touch. And now I was actually just emailing with one of the fathers over there at Mount Angel. He's like, when are you guys coming back? We got the St. Benedict Festival coming up. You got to be there. And I'm like, tell God to lower those Austin to Portland ticket prices and we will be there. But like Caitlin has been there. Isn't Mount Oregon amazing?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
And so, and you saw how at home I felt at Mount Angel Abbey. And you guys know, being the last of my line on my father's side, literally everyone's dead except for me. I don't have homeland. Like I don't have a lot of that, like, oh, this is our family place. We had to sell it all. And it, I don't have that anymore. But because being Catholic has brought me into a very generative life and a generative worldview, I now have this new family, my extended family of Mount Angel, and I have my children. And the top thing that I have instilled in my children, and so is my husband, is that family first, like just living for God and family. And look, be ambitious. I mean, go all the way to the top and whatever your blue flame is. I mean, work hard, be ambitious, but all of that under the umbrella of God and family is it's just all that matters. So this is why aging gets depressing to people in our culture. And this is why I was reading the comments on the TikTok of the girl who did I'm 80, but I woke up at 28 today. And the one that devastated people was the one that said, I got a text from mom, meaning when you're 80, your mom is no longer around. And I get that. It's that, I mean, that's a gut punch for sure. The idea of losing parents, I've been there, gut punch. But when you live in a generative worldview, when you understand that the meaning of life is to love God and the people that he puts in your path and to expand, expand your talents, expand the people around you, not just always 24/7 consume, like eat this pasta at this restaurant and go take a picture at this place. Like that's good, but it's consume mode. But when you realize that the purpose of life is to be generative, generate more people, more love, aging doesn't seem quite as depressing because you think, I often think my dad is no longer here and that's terrible and it's sad, but my children are getting older and it's on the horizon that one day, maybe in the not too distant future, they could get married. They could start having kids. And when I think of like me being 80, it doesn't, well, especially given the way my mom ages, I'm like, maybe I'll finally be able to crush a CrossFit workout. But I mean, I don't think only in terms of loss. Like, yes, there will be people who are currently in my life today who won't be around, and that is very sad. But there will be new people. There will be babies that I haven't met yet. There will be, It's funny, if we had siblings, there would be nieces and nephews, but my husband and I are both only children, so we will not have nieces and nephews. But if we were not living at the tail end of familial demographic apocalypses, then we would have nieces and nephews. And when you live a life that understands that love is what it's all about, and that it's good to have, more people, more love around. When you think of aging and when you think of time going on, you don't only think of loss. You don't only think of the new aches and pains you'll have. You think of all these great new people you haven't even met. Like none of my kids are married. They don't have kids. Like I haven't even met my grandchildren. And that's so cool to think that when I'm 80, God willing, hopefully I'll have some grandchildren. What will they be like? Boys, girls, or what will they be into? What are their blue flames? Like that's so exciting to think about. And that is the mindset you have when you live a generative life. And this is my, in every podcast episode, you guys listen. Those of you who have not yet converted to Catholicism, after all the good points I've made on this podcast, you're doing it for attention at this point. I mean, come on, Caitlin's too busy. We give Caitlin a pass. She's too busy. She's a single mom. She's too busy. But the rest of you're doing it for attention, because this whole beautiful worldview that I am a part of, that allows me to just not think of aging the way our culture does, that it's like, oh, I won't feel well enough to go hike the stairs to go to this one restaurant in Italy. It's like the worldview that allows me to really relish the beauty and those consuming experiences, but then also fully give myself over to creation, not just creation with my blue flame and this fine podcast, but the creation of children, encouraging my children to, have grandchildren or join religious communities or whatever. This is the Catholic worldview. Like, I would not have had this worldview if I were not Catholic. When I was an atheist, it was very much that consumption based worldview. It was a very, seek your own pleasure. That's what makes you happy. Life is about doing your bucket list and traveling to all these places. And I would have been very miserable, especially as an only child. I could have ended up very, 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 very alone with an empty apartment full of a bunch of souvenirs from all of the places I had traveled, if I had kept on the worldview that I was immersed in when I was an atheist. On that note, that takes us perfectly into the main topic. Well, we're kind of already in the main topic, but before I go into the, you're not in perimenopause, you don't have aging aches and pain, you guys just start, you just need to journal speak and it's going to be fine. I've been on fire with the Village Hustle Patreon. I just have to say, episode 88, if you you can see the screenshot at patreon.com/thisisjen. So if you look at that screenshot, I have a sock in my mouth and I'm wrapping it around my head. That's how is it only $10 a month? I don't understand. Now, the lower level is $5 a month, but if you want my blinding insights about how to live an amazing life and follow your blue flame, that's what the Village Hustle Patreon is. That's the $10 a month one, and you get the after party and all that. So I was wrapping a sock around my head with it in my mouth, because that's the new way we're doing our hair. You'll just have to watch it. But I also, as I was doing that, I was telling you guys about a new kind of mindset thing that I have been doing that has really helped me not spiral into old ways of thinking. I am trying not to think the same self-defeating, negative, low self-esteem-y kind of thoughts that I, for all my life have kind of thought. But when you're in a habit, it's like choreography. Like, if you've been doing the exact same dance every single day your whole life, it's going to feel weird when you try to do a different dance. Like, if you've just been doing the waltz every day and now you're trying to break dance, it's going to feel weird. So this is how do you break the habit of those thoughts that are really holding you back? Thunder and lightning kind of insight. I swear God beamed this one directly into my brain, and that is in episode 88. You get instant access right now to that and all the other content that's on the Patreon, all of the archives of my lives, all that instant access when you sign up. Patreon.com/thisisjen. Okay, here's the case that I'm going to make, that all of these aches and pains that you guys talk about, I don't think it's caused by aging. And this is not to say don't go get checked out. Yes, get checked out, treat anything, if you have low estrogen, that can impact bone density and all that. So yes, absolutely. There are things that you should look into and get checked out and treat. I just don't think that they are causing a lot, 90% of the physical symptoms that you guys are experiencing. And here's something, I learned this from Dr. Sarno, and I think is very interesting. According to a study published in BMC Musculoskeletal Disorders, the prevalence of lower back pain peaks in the 50 to 54 age group. Interesting. And similar studies have been done for other kinds of aches and pains. Now, if aging is the only cause of your aches and pains, then you would expect to see the graph go up and up and up with age, right? Like wouldn't 80-year-olds and 70, it gets worse in your 60s and then worse in your 70s and then worse in your 80s. But for these kind of back pain, aches and pain kind of thing, they tend to peak in the late 40s and early 50s. That does not track at all with the theory that these are age-related things, because again, you would expect them to get worse and worse and worse and worse up until, and by the way, if it were true that these aches and pains that you are experiencing, there's you guys talking about this in your 30s, if it's true that this is aging related, you're going to not be able to move if you make it to 85. I mean, if you're already talking about this at 35, I mean, the human body just couldn't possibly be evolved that way, that it starts just breaking down and you're in significant noticeable pain when you're 35. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Your body's not going to make it till 85 if that's the case. What Dr. Sarno believes, and I believe by extension, is that this is funds. Well, he didn't use my made up term of fired up nervous system. He called it TMS. Nicole Sachs calls it TMS. But what they would say, and what I would say, is that when you hit your 30s and your 40s, that is when your stress peaks. If we looked at a chart of life stress, of when life feels really heavy and very high stakes and just a lot is going on and it matters and you're running out of time to deal with it all, that chart would really start ramping up in the mid 30s. It would really peak late 40s and start going down a little bit mid 50s and later. And notice that correlates directly with the chart of when people tend to be most bothered by aging, aches, and pains. And I would say it's also with women and their hormonal, perimenopause, menopause. It also, now this does track the natural cycle of menopause is right around there too. But I'm telling you, I think that at least some of your symptoms are fired up nervous system just going haywire. Because for those of you who are speaking now to the people who are under 40, let me be the ghost of Christmas future for a second. Let me tell you what happens as you approach 40 and then you get into your 40s and you hit those other milestones. It's like, it is a real, it's the experience of, I made this bed and now I get to lie in it. It is a narrowing of your options. Here's what I mean by that. So when you're 20, let me take, this is a slightly fictionalized for the sake of privacy case. But yeah, let me give you an example of an acquaintance. It is no one I've mentioned on the podcast, but this is an acquaintance of mine. When we were in our 20s, this person was a big fan of marijuana and just really getting into that. And that was kind of the lifestyle. But there was a feeling of, wow, the sky's the limit. I mean, maybe this guy could be like CEO of a major corporation. He could end up having a really healthy family life, just because he's a drug dealer today. Mm-hmm. And, his only major accomplishment is that he survived collapsing his lung from a bong hit. The sky is the limit of what this guy could do. He could change at any minute. And then, he hit 25 and was still doing that. And it's like, but still, he could become a race car driver. Like he could turn it. I mean, anything could happen. Then he hit 30 and it's still doing it. And it's like, well, there are definitely some things that he, okay, so he's not going to be like a pro athlete. He's kind of aged out of that. So, but there are still, he could, kind of start a business and blah, blah, blah. The options get narrower and narrower of like, I'm going to totally change everything and become a different person. And that's what happens when I think this is why people kind of, why 40 tends to be a big milestone for a lot of people, because it's like, this is the life I built for myself, and it's probably not going to fundamentally change, like at a core level. And 40 is the age where you're like, where a lot of people ask themselves for the first time, is this the life that I wanted to be living? Is this where I wanted to be? And I'm a bigger believer than probably anyone, probably to an unrealistic degree, that you can change at any age. And that is not pablum. That is not that I'm not saying that as some silly cliche, like it's never too late. Well, sometimes it is too late. Look, if you want to be an Olympic gold medalist figure skater and you're 60, okay, it is too late. But I do believe that, for anything that God puts on your heart, for anything that you are inspired by or you want to do, if it is still on your heart and you still have that yearning, God will figure out a way for you to satisfy that yearning. So maybe you're 60 and you've never been involved in figure skating, but okay, so you're not going to be an Olympic gold medalist figure skater, but maybe you could get involved in, mentoring, coaching, something like that, and you'll find that it's actually even more fulfilling than if you had gone that other path. So I want to make sure that balance is clear, that I very firmly believe that it is never too late to let God show you how he will fulfill, a yearning, for a blue flame, for a desire for you to contribute in some way. But also, those of you, especially those of you who are under 40, under 50, you do want to be mindful of the fact that time does exist. We do live in we are currently in the space-time continuum, and being 70 is not the same as being 30. And here is this is really the main point that I wanted to drive home. When I see people melting down in their 40s and having midlife crises and getting depressed, and when I see people having all these aches and pains. Oh, they're in perimenopause at 37. And just because they had all of their hormones checked and thyroid and nothing is showing up. No, they've got all these physical symptoms. Oh, it has to be perimenopause. I think what's going on is your nervous system is totally out of whack and is flipping out because you haven't been being honest about who you really are and about what you really want out of life. When I see people, and man, I will say, I love every age more than the next, but one of the things I love about my late 40s is like, I've just seen so much. The wild stories I've seen of like again, fictionalizing a little bit, but someone who used to really judge me, would tell me that I am not nearly a good enough Catholic, judged me. Two other people judged me on a blog. She was more Catholic than anyone. I was clearly not Catholic enough. She didn't, I use the example sometimes of shaving your head and joining a lesbian biker gang, but it's not that far away from it. She is, it's like pagan or something. She's like really into crystals. Not very much, not Catholic, divorced, just really into the crystals, into the everything. I don't know if she's part of a biker gang, but actually the other parts are pretty, but yeah, very angry, lots of anger. And again, very not Catholic, after spending a lot of time judging me. And of course I do. Yeah. Of course I hope that the Lord, brings her back to his embrace. Did I get a little bit of satisfaction? Okay, look, never mind. We can just move on. I hope that she rediscovers the Lord, in the Catholic Church. But it was, I would be lying if I told you that I didn't look at that and be like, oh, do you remember when you saw me accidentally eating chicken on a Friday in Lent and you told the whole homeschool group about, okay, whatever. We're moving on. So I've seen a lot of people have breakdowns. And sometimes all of those emotions come out again in terms of blowing up your faith and your marriage and your family and all. And I'm not saying that some people, they're in toxic relationships and it's a very healthy thing, whatever. But I'm talking about people who I don't know. I'm not a reader of souls, but it looked like a meltdown from the outside looking in. And from what I heard, I'm thinking of people that, I kind of knew pretty well. And then also just people who get completely consumed by the chronic pain or the aging symptoms, the aches and pains. They're convinced that their hormones are causing them all of these problems. They have a thyroid issue. They're allergic to mold. They have food intolerances and whatever. And I really think that a lot of these things, I'm not saying all, but a lot of them, it's funds. It is your nervous system completely just overwhelmed with stress. And if I had to put my finger on the most common cause of this midlife crisis, feeling old, melting down about age, being terrified of getting older, it's that they weren't honest about who they really were and what they really want. And to give you an example of someone else I know who just really went off the rails. And again, this is not someone local. It's not there's no public connection to me in this person. So I'm not outing anyone. It's just some friend of a friend who I knew who really just kind of blew it all up, had a kind of a mental breakdown, and was left with, I would say, kind of shambles of they really had a pretty big meltdown in their 40s. And this person used to be in the homeschool, Miss Perfect, homesteading and canning the vegetables and wearing the skirts and all that. And some people genuinely love that. That is genuinely their calling. And this woman talked a lot about how I love it. Yes, we pray 5 times a day, and I judge everybody who doesn't pray 5 times a day. And I love it. Have I mentioned how much I love my homeschooling, the being super uber, extra Catholic lifestyle. Yes, I love it so much. Why wouldn't I love it? This is the right way to live. Why there's nothing I wouldn't like about this. And what's interesting, I forgot about this. What's interesting is the way this gal first came on my radar was that I was having chronic pain issues, which I now look back and realize was funds. And so was she. And a friend of a friend of a friend was like, oh, actually, my buddy here has the same, she's having the same symptoms you are. She was debilitated with chronic pain that the doctors couldn't figure out what it was. And that I want to be careful of privacy here. So I'm just kind of trying to think carefully of how I explain this. So she was in chronic pain as she was doing homeschooling sure is perfect for me. I love every minute of it, and wearing the long skirts and saying 3 rosaries a day. What would be wrong with this? Nope. I sure do love it. And she ended up, really having a pretty big change of heart and just going a totally different direction. And the family situation looks very different. Certainly no longer homeschooling, no longer Catholic. A big explosion happened. And I don't know. I didn't know this person super well, but I would say, I think that if that person had been more honest early on about what she really wanted out of life and whether her current lifestyle was really working for her, and whether, is there a way to be Catholic that is not in this particular genre of you don't have to pray the rosary 3 times a day. You don't have to wear the long skirts. You don't even have to homeschool. Could we find ways to make this work that are not following these, checking these exact boxes? But she was terrified not to check those boxes. And she spent years and years and years telling herself that she loved checking those boxes. And then finally one day it just broke. Everything just broke. And when you spend that long in self-denial, at some point it's going to break and it's going to be crazy. And that's an extreme example. But This actually applies to us all, but certainly if you are under 40, I think one of the most important things about doing some kind of journal speak, and maybe if you don't like writing, again, talk into the notes app on your phone for 20 minutes, and then just delete it when you're done. If you're not into writing, it doesn't have to be writing. But I think that one of the most important reasons to do that is because it will eventually, if you stick to that 20-minute time limit, like I'm not going to stop before I hit 20 minutes, it will at some point, you will start to get pretty honest about who you really are and what you really want out of life. And if you want to age well, if you want to feel youthful at all ages, if you want to have that vibrancy that like my mom has, actually my husband is a good example. He has always been, one thing that my mom and my husband have in common is they have both always just known who they are and what they want, and they go for what they want, and they don't apologize for it. And I don't mean in a negative way or in a selfish way. I mean in a loving, family first, very positive way. But they're just like, yeah, I want this. I'm going to go for this. I'd like to have this in a way that is harmonious for everyone in my family. Both of them have always been very unapologetic about who they are and what they want. And both of them have a very youthful spirit. Both of them are very youthful beyond their years. And I have almost never, I have never heard either one of them complain about aging aches and pains. I mean, they might say like, my mom injured her foot playing tennis a couple weeks ago, or my husband injured his, shoulder sailing or something. But I've never once heard either one of them complain about aging related aches and pains. I do not think this is a coincidence. And so I think that is really the secret to feeling youthful at any age, whether you are listening to this and you're 75 or whether you're 25, is the more you just connect with God and get really honest about what your mission is, what your blue flame is right here, right now. Is there something for the seamless tapestry to take it back to like what we were talking about earlier? Is there something I need to let go of? Is there something I need to step into? And here's the big one. Listen carefully. Are there boxes that I'm checking, a list of like things that I'm doing because I think it is what a good woman or a good man would do, that I don't need to. This is not a moral obligation, but that I think I associate this with like good people do this, that I'm forcing myself, I'm trying to tell myself that this works for me, and maybe somewhere deep down inside, this doesn't really work for me. And again, I'm not talking about serious things like you should, abandon your family. Like I'm not, we're talking about things that are like the optional things in life that we sometimes act like are not optional. Like my friend who is now very much not doing this, but like, no, I have to wear floor length skirts. I just have to. I'm Catholic. It's like, Catholics don't have to do that. No, we do. Good Catholics do this. It's like you're taking optional things and you are convincing yourself that they're not optional. And you're adding a whole bunch of stress to your life with that and trying to convince yourself that this optional thing works for you and that you love it when you really don't love it. So that is my advice for how you can see things like that. The little TikTok I played where the girl was like, I'm 80 and I woke up 28. Again, a very sweet sentiment, but that's how you can look at that kind of stuff and just feel positive. Like, I think 80 is going to be great. If God willing, if I make it that far, I'm going to have some new grandkids and I'm going to be living this generative life. I'll have new community, new people around me, new thriving opportunities to let go of things I don't need and bring in things I do need and just be who I am. And let God send me the people who are the right fit for that person I was meant to be. When you live that kind of life, you don't need to fear aging at all. And you will really kind of forever feel a very youthful, young spirit. How is this podcast? We just can't figure it out. My comedy special comes out Thursday, June 5th. You guys better be in the chat. You guys need to be in the chat, hanging out with me. It'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Again, I am thrilled with how it came out. Just absolutely thrilled. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/thisisjen, and we will be back with you next week here on the Jen Fulwiler Show.